Hello, we are going to solve this Math SAT practice. Let's start with number 1. What is 10% of 470? We need to find the 10% and we need to use the rule of 3. So if we know that 470 it's the 100%, now we want to find the 10%. What amount? What is that 10% amount? So just for another example that could be in the test, if they want to know, they ask for the 30%, or you just change this 30% or 20%, whatever it asks. Right now it's 10%. So we just multiply this 470 times 10 and we divide it by 100. We do that. 470 times 10 divided by 100. Now we can simplify the zeros, this one with this one, and this one with this other one. So we have 47 times 1, 47 times 1, it's 47, and 47 divided by 1, it's 47. So the answer is B. Now for number 2. We have this equation and they ask us which equation has the same solution as the given equation. So we can solve this equation. Let's start to solve it. 4 times x plus 6 is equal to 18. So 4x equal to 18. Now the 6 goes to subtract minus 6. This is equal to 4x equal to 18 minus 6, 12. And we can stop here because we see that these equations are the same. So if the equations are the same, they're going to have the same solution. Our answer is C. Now the third one, this is about inequalities. We know that inequalities are the symbols greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal. Now let's read. The total cost in dollars to rent a surfboard consists of a $25 service fee and a 10% per hour rental fee. A person rents a surfboard for 3 hours and intends to spend a maximum amount of $75 to rent a surfboard. Which inequality represents this situation? So we have two costs. One is 25 service fee plus, so this fee plus this another fee has to be less or equal than 75. The other fee is $10 per hour, and we don't know the hours. It's a variable. 10 hours times t, we said that it has to be a maximum of 75, so it has to be less or equal. That's 75. It includes 75. And that's our inequality, which is answer D. Now for number 4. The function g is defined by this function for which value x is the function 25. So we can, since these are the same functions, we could use this trick. 25 equal to x to the power of 2 plus 9. And we are going to find the value of x. So if we do this, 25 minus 9 is equal to x squared. 25 minus 9 is 16 equal to x squared. Now we have to get rid of this square, so we need square roots to both sides. We apply square roots to both sides. This simplifies with this one, so we have that. And the square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 equals 16. Or we could say this 4 to the square is equal to x. This 2 simplifies with the square root, so we have that x is equal to 4, which is answer A. Now number 5. We're talking about probabilities. In order to find the probability, we know that this is the formula. This is the number. For number 5, we need to know this probability formula, that is equal to the favorable outcomes divided by the possible outcomes. Alright, now let's read. Each face of a 14-sided fair die is labeled with a number from 1 through 14. So we get that. We have 14 possible outcomes with a different number appearing on each face. If the die is rolled one time, only one time, what is the probability of rolling a 2? So the favorable outcomes is one possibility divided by the possible outcomes, that is 14. And that's our answer, A. Number 6. A printer produces posters at a constant rate of 42 posters per minute. At what rate in posters per hour? Per hour does the printer produce the posters? So we need to find how many posters per hour produces this printer. and we know that it produces 42 posters per minute. So we have to transform these minutes to hours. So we want to know so sorry so if we know that in 60 minutes, because the minutes have to be simplified, we have 1 hour. So we simplify the minutes, and we have to multiply that. 42 times 60, which is 200, 520, 2520 posters per hour. Posters per hour. That's what we wanted to find. Posters per hour. That's our answer. Now number 7. This function f is defined by this equation. What is the value of the function when x is equal to 4? So we just need to replace this value of x in this function. So what is this function of when x is equal to 4? So we just replace the x with 4 plus 2. This function is going to be equal to 7 times 4. We replace the x plus 2, which is equal to 7 times 4, 28, plus 2. Our answer is 28 plus 2, 30. This function of x when x is equal to 4 is equal to 30. Now for number 8. A teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of questions worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. We have two kind of questions. Which equation represents this situation? We need to find an equation where x represents the number of 1 point questions and y represents the number 3 point questions. So two type of questions. These questions are worth 1 point and are represented by x, that is same here, plus the 3 point questions that are represented by y, and this has to be equal to 70 points, to 70, and that's our equation, which is answer D. This is the same as x, right? X plus 3 times y is equal to 70. And last, for number 9, we have right triangles LMN and PQR that are similar, where L and M correspond to P and Q. That means that L corresponds to P and M corresponds to Q, respectively. Angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. What is the measure of angle Q? So we have two right triangles. Let's draw that. This is 90 degrees because they are right triangles. I know my drawing isn't to scale, but it has to be 90 degrees. And we have that L corresponds to P and M corresponds to Q. So they tell us we have this information that angle M is equal to 43 degrees. What is the measure of angle Q? Since these angles are similar, they have to be within the same measure. So this has to be 53 degrees to this angle of Q, because we know that angle M is congruent to angle Q, since they are similar. So the answer is B. Thank you for watching. Number 10. The solution to the given system of equations is x and y. What is the value of x? So we have a system of equations and we need to find the value of x. Since we have already y, the value of y, maybe we could replace y in this equation, which seems to be easier. Let's do that. For x plus y is equal to minus 3x which is equal to 15. No. 4x minus 3x is equal to positive x, and x is equal to 15. So our answer is C. Now number 11. Which of the following equations is the most appropriate linear model for the data shown in the scatter plot? So we have equations and we want to find the appropriate linear model in the scatter plot. Right now we can see that the value decreases, let's say, when x is equal to 1, right here. Our value of y is less than 9 here. Or this other point when x is equal to 5, the value of y is less than 1. So we know that the slope is negative because it's decreasing. Our answer should be A or B. C and D cannot be the right answer. Now, we could use this formula to find the y-intercept and see which point, of course, if we see the scatter plot, we know that we are in the positive side, so this should be, let's replace that. This equation, y is equal to, if we say that x is equal to 0, this will be 0 and this will be 0. Okay, so for this equation, y is equal to 0 minus 10.1, and we don't have that point here in the scatter plot. Y is equal to minus 10.1, we don't have that point, so our answer should be B. But let's show why. So if x is 0, 0 times minus 1.9 will be 0, plus 10.1, which is around here, and we could see that it aligns with this, the points. So our answer is B. Thank you for watching. Number 12. We have this graph. Let's read. The graph of y equals to this function is shown, where the function f is defined by this equation, and a, b, c, and d are constants. How many values of x does this function have? So we need to find the values of x, and we know this information. Y is equal to the function of x, and we know that the function of x is equal to 0. Therefore, we can say that y will be 0. If we know that y is 0, how many values of x we'll have? This is our values of y. When it's 0, we see that we have 3 values of this graph of the function: 1, 2, and 3. 3 points where x has a value and y is equal to 0. So our answer is C. Number 13. Vivian bought party hats and cupcakes for $71. Each package of party hats, the package of party hats costs $3, and each cupcake costs $1. If Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats, how many cupcakes did she buy? So we need to find the amount of cupcakes. How many cupcakes Vivian bought? And we know that she spent $71 in total. So our equation could be like this. H represents the amount of packages of party hats, and C the amount of cupcakes. Each party hats and cupcakes has a price and a quantity. So we could find with that equation C. We could say the price times the amount. So $3 for each package of party hats that is H plus $1 times the amount of cupcakes C. We know that the amount of packages of party hats is 10, so we replace that 3 times 10 plus 1 times C is equal to C, and this is equal to 71. 3 times 10 is 30 plus C equals to 71. Then C is equal to 71 minus 30. Finally, C is equal to 71 minus 30, which is 41. That's our answer, 41. Number 14. We have this equation. What is one of the solutions to the given equation? From this equation we could factor C times C is equal to 0. Now, the first sign is positive. Now the product of signs, positive times negative, is going to be negative. So that's for the second parenthesis we have. Now we need to find the factors of 24. We could do this. Half of 24, 12. For 12 we could get half, 6, another half of 6, 3, and finally 3 divided by 3 is 1. So these are our factors of 24, and we need to find two factors that multiply are 24, and those same numbers added have to be 10. So we could use like this: 2 times 2, 4, times 3, 12. We have 12, and here 2. 12 times 2 is 24. We could use the positive sign, and this has to be negative. One has to be positive and the other has to be negative. So 12 minus 2 is 10. So those are our two numbers. The greater one goes first. 12, and here minus 2. So now we can find our solutions. C plus 12 is equal to 0, and our other solution, C minus 2, is equal to 0. From here we could say C will be equal to minus 12. That's one solution for C, and the last one, C is gonna be equal to 2. This is sub 2. So these are our two solutions. We could use any of those. Thank you. Number 15. Bacteria are growing in a liquid growth. medium. There were 300 cells per milliliter during an initial observation. The number of cells per milliliter doubles every 3 hours. We need to find how many cells per milliliter will there be 15 hours after the initial observation. So we need to find how many cells per milliliter will be there 15 hours after. First, we need to find how many times that's going to happen. Since we have that there will be 15 hours and it doubles every 3 hours, and this is the same unit, hours and hours, we could divide 15 by 3. This is hours and hours, which is equal to 15 divided by 3, 5. Hours and hours simplify. So the number of cells per milliliter is going to double 5 times. Or we could just add 0 plus 3, the initial is 0, 0 plus 3, it's going to be 3 hours after the initial observation, 6 hours plus 3, 9 hours plus 3, 12 hours plus 3, 15 hours. And now, if we know that the initial observation is 300,000, so it's 300,000, and it doubles, so we multiply by 2, and we'll have how many cells is there 3 hours after the initial observation, which is 600,000. Now, how many will be there 6 hours after? The past value, 600,000 times 2, will be 1,200,000, and 9 hours, 1,200,000 times 2 is equal to 2,400,000. 12 hours after will be 2,400,000 times 2 is equal to 4,800,000. And finally, after 15 hours is 4,800,000 times 2, that is equal to 9,600,000 number of cells per milliliter, which is answer D. (16) Which expression is equivalent to 6x to the 8 y squared plus 12x squared y squared? We have two ways of solving this. We could multiply each answer like this one, 6 this term times this term. So, for example, 6 times 2, 12. 12 x, when its base is the same, we add the exponents, so 2 plus 6 is 8, x to the 8, y squared. And from that we can know that since we don't have two terms, A and B cannot be our answers. And the other way of solving this is just trying to factor this expression. So let's copy that. Y squared plus 12 x squared y squared. Now, what can we factor here? Let's start with the 6 and the 12. 12 has the factor of 6 and 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So we could use 6. 6 and for x we use, for these variables we can use the lowest, which is this. So x squared and y, since we have y squared here and y squared here, that's our only option. And now we do multiplication. So we see what we have in common here. We have 1. So it's the same 6. 6 times 1 will give us this. 6 times x. We subtract 8 and 2, which is 6. So that when we multiply, we just add the variables. 6 plus 2 will be 8. And y squared, we already have it, so we didn't copy anything. Now for the second term, we have a 2. And now we have the same variables here, so we just keep the 2. And that's our answer. 1 times x to the 6th is x to the 6th, so our answer is that, which is equivalent to answer C. #17. A neighborhood consists of a 2-hectare park and a 35-hectare residential area. The total number of trees in the neighborhood is 3,934. The equation 2x plus 35y equals to 3,934 represents this situation. Which of the following is the best interpretation of x in this context? So, given this equation, we need to find what x represents. And 2 is associated with hectare park. So, x has to contain park in the answer. Park, not residential area, like B and D. Therefore, we eliminate those options. Now, this equation gives us the total number of trees in the neighborhood, which we could say that will be equal to the number of trees in the park plus the total number of trees in the residential area. Therefore, 2x is the total number of trees in the park, and x cannot be the total number of trees in the park. So option C is not our answer, which leaves us only with A, as x represents the average number of trees per hectare in the park. Number 18. We have this graph that shows the relationship between the number of shares of stock from company A, X, and company B, Y. We need to find which equation could represent this relationship. So we have these equations as possible answers, and we could find, using this formula, the equation for this line. To find this, we need to find the slope first. So let's do that. And to find the slope, we need 2 points. Let's use this one and this other one. So we have the values of x and y of those points. The first one, when x is going to be this one. First this. When x is equal to 0, the value of y is 40. Now for the second point, when x is equal to 60, the value of y is 0. Now we replace those values in this formula. The slope is equal to, this is y sub 2, 0, minus 40, y sub 1, now divided by x sub 2, that is 60, minus x sub 1, that is 0, which gives us negative 40 divided by 60. We simplify the zeros. We can divide this. Half of 4, 2, half and 6 of 6, 3. So the slope is going to be equal to minus 2/3. That's our slope. Now, if we know that the slope is negative, we see that A has a positive slope and C has the same, a positive slope. So A and C cannot be our answers. Let's find our equation, which is equal to, this is the formula for a line. So y is equal to the slope that we just found, minus 2/3, plus b is the y-intercept. Y-intercept means when the value of x is equal to 0, the value of y is 40. So plus 40. That's the equation that represents the relationship between these two companies. Now, how come we need to compare this to the possible answers we have, B and D? We could see the factor of y, and we could multiply this equation by 12 and by 8 to see if it is equal or 8, and we'll have a solution. So let's multiply this equation by 12. So y times 12 is 12. 12y equals to minus, oh, I forgot the x, minus 2/3 times x times 12 plus 40 times 12. So we're just multiplying by 12 all of the terms of this equation. Y times 12, this term by 12, and 40 times 12. Let's solve this equation. 12y is equal to, here Since this is a multiplication, we can divide 12 over 3, which is 4, because 3 times 4 is 12, so we have negative 8 times x plus 40 times 12, which is equal to 408. And now we can see that these two equations are the same. Well, basically the same. There's the difference of the sign, that the negative 8x is going to be positive, and we'll have the same equation. So this equation that we found represents the relationship between those two companies. Answer is B. 19. Circle A has a radius of 3n. Circle B has a radius of 129n, where n is a positive constant. The area of B is how many times the area of circle A? We need to find how many times the area of circle B is bigger than the area of circle A. So we know that the area of circle B is bigger than the area of circle A. We could find the area of each circle and then divide them like this. The area of B, since B is bigger, divided by the area of A. Let's do that. So this will be our circle A, and this one our circle B. The radius of A is 3n. The radius of B is 129n. We have this formula for the area of a circle. Let's find the area of circle A. The area of A is equal to pi times the radius. The radius of A is 3n to the square. So the area of A is equal to pi, the square of 3 times 3 is 9, the square of n is n squared. That's our first area. Now the area of circle B. The area of B is equal to pi times the radius to the square, which is 129n to the square. The area of B is equal to pi and 129 to the square is 16,641. The square of n is n squared. Since we have the two areas, now we can divide them. So we have here pi times 16,641 n to the square divided by the area of A, pi times 9 times n squared. We can simplify the pi's and the n squared. Now the ratio between the areas is 16,641 divided by 9, which is 1,849. Therefore, the area of circle B is 1,849 times bigger than the area of circle A, which is answer D. Number 20. The frequency table summarizes the 57 data values in a dataset. What is the maximum data value in the dataset? We need to find the maximum data value in this dataset, and this contains two columns, one for the data value and another for the frequency. We need to know the maximum amount in the data value, so the frequency is not important for us. And what is the maximum or the greatest number in this column of the data value? 14. Therefore, the answer is 14. Number 21. A circle in the xy plane has a diameter with endpoints 2, 4 and 2, 14. An equation of the circle is x minus 2 to the square plus y minus 9 to the square equals to r squared, where r is a positive constant. What is the value of r? We need to find the value of r, and we have two ways to solve this. Well, at least two ways. First, we could graph. If we have these endpoints, these are the value of x, and this the values of y. For the first point, we have 2, 4, and the next one is 2, 2, 14. We can graph this, and now the diameter will be equal to this, the difference between these 2 points in the y-axis, 14 minus 4, because we know that this goes through the circle. So the diameter will be equal to 10, and we know that the diameter with this formula is 2 times the radius. Now let's replace these values, the value of the diameter. So 10 is equal to 2 times r. R will be equal to 10 divided by 2. And finally the result will be 5. So the radius is 5. Now the other way of solving this is, since we have the values of x and y, we could replace from using any of these points in this equation, and we'll find the value of r. Let's use the second point. So let's copy the equation square now we'll use x equal to 2 and y equal to 14. So 2 minus 2, the value of x will be 2. 2 minus 2 to the square plus y is equal to 14 minus 9. The result to the square is equal to r squared. 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 to the square will be 0 plus 14 minus 9 is 5. 5 to the square equals to r to the square. Now we could use the square root to both terms to eliminate the square. So square with the square root simplifies here and here, and the radius will be equal to 5, which is the same result. Number 22. The measure of angle R is 2 pi over 2 radians. The measure of angle T is 5 times pi over 12 radians, greater than the measure of angle R. What is the measure of angle T in degrees? So we need to add this radians to find the angle of T, and then convert it from radians to degrees. So the measure of angle T is equal to the measure of angle R plus these radians. 5 pi divided by 12. So the measure of angle T is equal to the measure of R, which is 2 pi over 3 plus 5 pi over 12. Now we need to find the common denominator, so we can use the trick of multiplying by 4 divided by 4. This is equal to 1, so it doesn't change this fraction. And we will obtain 12 as the denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. Pi plus 5 over 12 times pi. Now we just add these values. 8 plus 5 is 13 divided by 12. That's the measure of angle T. And this is in radians. We need to convert radians to degrees. And we know that 180 degrees is equal to p radians. So we multiply this fraction 13 pi, this is pi, I forgot the pi, divided by 12. Now we multiply this for 180 degrees. That's equal to pi radians. We cancel the pi's out. We can simplify this. 12 over 12 will be 1, and 12 is 15 times in 180. So finally we multiply 13 by 15. And the result is 195 degrees, which is answer C. (23) A certain town has an area of 4.36 square miles. What is the area in square yards of this town? And we know that 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. So we need to convert these square miles to square yards. Let's start. 4.36 square miles. And we have to multiply this. So if we want to get square yards, we'll need to cancel out the miles. This has to be square miles. Numerator, we need the square yards. How can we get these units to the square? We could just multiply by itself, like here. Miles times miles, 1,760 times 1,760, and yards times yards, and we'll get this amount. Or we could say that since 1,760 yards is equal to 1 mile, then we need to obtain the square yards. We can multiply it by itself. So 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. And our result will be 1,760 to the square times yards squared square yards to square miles. Now we replace these values here. (1,760) times 1,760 is equal to 3,097,600. square yards. Now we can cancel out the miles, and we multiply 4.36 times 3,097,600, which is equal to 13,536 square yards. And the answer is D. For line H, the table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of y. Line K is the result of translating line H down 5 units in the xy plane. What is the x-intercept of line K? We know that the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. As we can see in the choices we have. So we got one value of y. Now we need to find x. For that, we could use this equation of the point slope form to find the value of x. Since we have the points, we know that the x-intercept is equal to 0, and we can find the slope. So let's do that. First, the slope, which we use this equation. We'll use these 2 points. So one value of y in this 160 minus the other value of y, 130, divided by the difference of the other points, the values of x, 23 minus 18. Now 160 minus 130 is 30, divided by 23 minus 18 is 5. Now 30 divided by 5 is equal to 6. So we know that the slope is equal to 6. Now let's use this equation. Y minus, now here, since we are using this point, is 130, and we have to rest the translation minus 5 is equal to, because we will obtain another result if we don't do this first. So we could just use 125. We need to use that. It's equal to the slope 6 times x minus one value, our value of x, 18, so it's the x-intercept. We know that y is equal to 0, minus 130 minus 5 is 125, and it's going times negative is going to be minus 125 equal to 6 times x, 6x, minus 6 times 18 minus 108. Now minus 125 plus 108 is equal to 6x. Now here we have negative 17 is equal to 6x. Finally, x is equal to, since this 6 is multiplying x, it will divide this minus 17. So minus 17 divided by 6. And this is the value of x, which is answer D. Number 25. In the xy plane, the graph of the equation y equals to negative x squared plus 9x minus 100 intersects the line y equals c at exactly one point. What is the value of c? So we need to find the value of c, and we know that y is equal to c. So we have this variable, and we need to find the value of x. To do that, we can use this formula and then replace those values in the equation. Let's do that. And we need to know that b and a are the coefficients of the variables. For example, a is equal to negative 1, the coefficient of x squared, and for b is the coefficient of x, which is 9. And now we don't need it, but the value of c is this term, negative 100. But we don't need that, just to show. Now let's replace the values of a and b. X is equal to negative b, which is 9, divided by 2 times a, and a is negative 1. So the value of x will be negative 9 divided by negative 2. Finally, we can say that x will be equal to positive 9 over 2. We can replace the value of x and y in this equation. Y is equal to c, and we need to find c. So c will be equal to negative x, and we know the value of x is 9 over 2 square plus 9 times x, that is 9 divided by 2, minus 100. C is equal to negative, the square of 9 is 81, the square of 2 is 4, plus 9 times 9 is 81, divided by 2 is, just in case, 2 times 1, because 9 is divided by 1, that is 2, minus 100. Now here we could multiply by 4 all the terms, the 4 terms here. Let's do that. We multiply by 4 the whole equation, so c times 4 is 4c equals to 4 times negative 81 divided by 4 plus 4 times 81 divided by 2 plus 4 times negative 100. Here we can simplify the 4's. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. And we have this equation. 4c is equal to 1 times negative 81 plus, here we can simplify 4 2 times 81, which is 162. Here it's gonna be negative, so negative 4 times 100 is equal to 400. We'll get this equation. 4c is equal to negative 81 plus 162 minus 400 is equal to negative 319. Finally, c will be equal to negative 319, and since the 4 is multiplying c, it will go to divide the 319. Negative 319 divided by 4. That's the value c, and as we can see, it's option C. Number 26. We have two equations. For each real number r, which of the following points lies on the graph of each equation in the xy plane for the given system? These two equations are equivalent because if we multiply by 5 the first equation, we'll get the second equation. 2x times 5 will be 10x, plus 3y times 5 will be 15y, and 7 times 5 will be equal to 35. So we should only use one equation, and the first one looks easier because of the coefficients are smaller. Now, since we don't have any more information, we can replace the values of x and y in these points that we have in the answer choices and see the equation is consistent. Let's start with the first one. We'll copy the equation, the first equation, 2x plus 3 times y is equal to 7. Now we'll replace x with this r divided by 5 plus 7, and for y, negative r divided by 5 plus 35. Let's start. 2 times the value of x, x is equal to r divided by 5 plus 7 plus 3 times y, and we know that y is equal to negative r divided by 5 plus 35 equal to 7. Now let's multiply 2 times r divided by 5 and 2 times 7. This will be 2 divided by 5 times r plus 2 times 7 is 14. Now positive times negative will be negative. 3 times 1 will be 3 divided by 5 times r plus 3 times 35, which is 105, equal to 7. Now we can add these terms. 2 over 5 minus 3 over 5 is negative 1 over 5 times r plus 14 plus 105 is 119 equal to 7. We can see that the equation is not consistent because we don't have the value of r. So the ideal case would be in one answer when the r cancel out, and we can find if the equation is consistent. Let's try with the choice B points. So we have the equation, and let's replace these values for this x and for this the value of y. Two times x is equal to minus 3 r divided by 2 plus 7 divided by 2 plus 3 times y, and y is equal to r equal to 7. Here these two will multiply each fraction here and here, and we can simplify the 2's. So we'll get 1 times negative 3r is gonna be negative 3r plus 1 times 7, positive 7, plus 3 times r, 3r, equal to 7. In this case we can cancel out the r's. Negative 3r plus 3r will be 0, and we see that the equation is consistent because 7 is equal to 7. So that means that the points in choice B lie on the graph of each equation. The answer is B. Number 27. The perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 624 centimeters. The height of this right triangle is k square root of 3 centimeters. We have the same units, centimeters and centimeters, where k is a constant. What is the value of k? We need to find k. For that we could use this special triangle formula. This is the height, that is k square root of 3. This angle has to be 60 degrees. This one is 30. So that means that this side is 2 times k. If we see this triangle, this side is the same 2k because it's an equilateral triangle, so the three sides are equal. And we know the perimeter. So we know that 2k plus 2k plus 2k is equal to the perimeter, and the perimeter is 624. So 6 times k, 2 plus 2 plus 2 will be 6k equal to 624. K will be equal to 624 divided by 6. Finally, k is equal to 104 centimeters.